Here in the Pacific Northwest, spring has sprung. We are picking bluebells wherever we see them and enjoying the sunshine that's pouring into our windows in the morning. Oh my, this is a lovely season. And on this particular morning, I was really cherishing and appreciating all life's big and little blessings, the beautiful gifts that we have. And while we had breakfast, we watched Epic Gardening on YouTube and got super motivated to just tackle a project that I was kind of dreading because it meant tearing up more grass. And if you've never torn up a bunch of grass by hand, it's quite the task. It's tedious, takes time, takes effort, and with our really rocky soil, that just adds a whole other dimension of labor to it. So I decided, let's get out back. I'll set up the girls with a picnic blanket and they can just play. I had a look around to just remind myself that even though all of our backyard isn't exactly where I want it to be quite yet, that I have made lots of progress on establishing some defined spaces and just getting those spaces started towards what they're eventually going to be in the end. The area that I'm working on in this video is just on the back side of our dog's potty area. You can kind of see their shade deck that's also in progress towards the back of their area. And this little in-ground garden bed is going to be wedged between the dog potty area and our fire pit area. So I'm just starting to dig up all this sod by hand. I had lots of visitors from my little cuties. The baby even decided to come and dig around with me in the dirt. She is going to be quite the gardener one day. I love seeing her pick up the little kids' shovels and just dig around in the dirt and pick flowers, and also the flowers that we're trying to keep growing in the garden. She keeps plucking those up too, but I get it. Sometimes it's just hard to keep your hands off things in the garden, little one. Anyways, in order to be kind of resourceful and strategic with where I'm moving all of this grass to, I'm taking it over to the sloped end of our yard so I can hopefully start building it up a little bit and creating a little bit more levelness to the yard on this side. So any grass removal projects that I end up having to do around here, this is exactly where I'm going to be taking it. I don't think there's any point in dumping it somewhere else or trying to remove it off the property if I can actually use it to just build up the land in certain spots. So that's what I'm doing, just taking trips back and forth as I pull up all this lovely grass. And as I was doing this grass removal, it just made me think of how much more productive the average property could be, the average like suburban property could be if we had less grass and more spaces for gardening potential. So if you're considering planting a bunch of grass seed, I would encourage you to be a little bit more strategic and see if you can, structure in and factor in some areas where you can grow some of your own food, where you can grow some flowers that are beneficial to pollinators. And, of course, as we're out in the back breaking a sweat in this hot spring sun, we got to take a minute to cool off the dogs. As reluctant as they are to get all wet, they do appreciate the cool down in the end. So big boy Max was trying his best to avoid this showering. There he goes. So here I am just raking out some of the bigger clumps of grass that were left over after removing all the grass and just kind of leveling out the garden bed a little bit. I'm about to put in some borders with just some old fencing planks that we had laying around just to keep the space a little bit more defined and to keep out some of the grass from just making its way in. So nothing fancy, nothing super special, just kind of shimmying these planks into the soil and then breaking up the soil so I can put in the blueberry bush that I purchased and the lavender plant that I had to remove from the dog's area. I put it over there just temporarily. I do want to put in some dog-friendly plants in their area, but it wouldn't get enough sun once I put the roof on their shade deck. Here we are taking a break to set up the sprinkler for Jade and taking a look at the little butterflies that start flying around in the garden. We like to see them flying around, and it's special. Springtime is special. It just feels like such a renewal is happening all around us and even within us. But yeah, okay, you guys, I told you we had rocky soil. Like, look at these big rocks that I'm pulling up out of the ground. And these are not even the biggest ones that I pulled up out of the ground. I'm trying to find a way to love it. And I do love it. Here I am gathering a ton of the rocks that I pulled out of this area as I dug up the grass. One thing's for sure, I need to figure out a permanent solution for where to land all these rocks, because I think I've moved our rock pile 2 or 3 times now. I'm just so over it. So I'm trying to enjoy it. I'm trying to appreciate it. Even being on Reddit, seeing some people in like the gardening threads and stuff, they're like, oh, what I wouldn't give for just a bucket of rocks. So I know that some people would love to have all these rocks, and I do love it. It's just, if I had a more, thought out plan as to like what to do with them when I dig them up, I think I'd just be a little bit more content to be digging them up out of the ground. But having to move a rock pile multiple times, I guess it's not really my favorite thing to look forward to. But here's the little lavender plant that I transplanted, giving it some love, some water. Eventually the blueberry plant goes in. I also transplanted some other little sprouts that popped up in various places from seeds, and then I was like, yeah, I don't think I want that to grow there yet. So yeah, I'm just moving a bunch of things around in the yard as I start establishing these different little spaces. And of course, let's have some sparkling cider with my super helper, because we are going to be working on another project. This was a different day, but as I start working on this project in the video, I will give you some insight as to where I have been sourcing some free and really low cost materials locally. So these planks that you see here and these 4x4 little stubs, I sourced these from, the planks were from a local nursery. I called them ahead of time to ask if they had any pallets that we could just come and pick up if there was any that we wanted. They said, oh yeah, we definitely do. Turns out they also have a bin for pots. So any plant pots that people want to just recycle after buying from the nursery, they can drop there and people can take them home if they need them. Also, they had a pile of planks, like these wood planks, I think the second time that we went back, and I guess it's just wood that the delivery drivers, they don't want left on their trucks, so they just dropped them off. I guess they get lots of these planks, and these ones actually happen to be Douglas fir. They were really nice and straight, really sturdy, good condition, good quality. So I thought, you know what, I can't pass these up. I'm going to use these for something, even though I didn't have a plan when we first picked them up. I knew that they would be useful at some point. So we decided to use the planks that we picked up after removing some nails and staples to build a raised garden bed. And the 4x4 little stub posts that we're drilling them into, those I picked up from a local fencing company. They had a stack of really nice fence panels that were removed from a customer's project to replace the fence. And by the time I had got back with our truck to pick up these panels, somebody else had already scooped them up. So I wasn't prepared that day, but I did end up taking home some just brand new cuts of like 4x4 posts. And again, I knew this would be helpful probably for a raised garden bed project like this one. So today was the day that we used up these materials. Completely free, just a little bit of labor, a little bit of hard work, and we ended up with an awesome raised bed in the end. So those are just a couple of places that you can look in your local area to see if you're able to source free or low-cost materials. A couple others I would recommend checking out if you're trying to garden on a budget, or you just want to make some like curb appeal improvements to your property, but you don't want to spend a ton of money. Yes, a little bit of money, some sweat, some hard work, maybe even some borrowed tools and equipment from neighbors or relatives, and you can have a fantastic curb appeal update. I have some other videos on our backyard update from our previous home. I think it's just one video, but and then I also have a furniture flip video that you can check out if you want some inspiration on how you can make some great projects and curb appeal improvements on a budget. Anyways, back to what I was saying. You can also join or buy, sell, trade, or buy nothing groups on Facebook, but also checking Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp, things like that, to find free and low-cost materials. A lot of people will just have kind of cuts or scraps or just like remnants or a little bit leftover material from projects, and they just don't want to hang on to the extra materials. This might be things like a portion of wire fencing, like a roll of wire fencing. This might be things like T-posts that you can use for wire fencing. It might also be things like just scraps of wood, or even a box of shingles left over from a roof replacement. Things like that. There's tons of things out there that people are just ready to get rid of. They're taking up space, they're left over from projects, and you can source them for free or very low cost. So check out those kinds of places and see what you're able to find. The only thing I paid for with this project was the screws, and the box of screws I used was like $8. And actually, after we had assembled the whole thing, I realized, I didn't need to use my 3-inch long screws. I was going to use those for another project. I had some other shorter screws that I meant to use on it, so after the fact, I went back and just unscrewed all of the ones on 3 sides, not the side that was backed up to the fence, and then I just replaced them with the shorter screws that I had, so I could use the longer screws for the dog shade deck. A fourth source that you can get free or very low cost materials is Chip Drop. I used Chip Drop on our backyard makeover project at our previous home when we were getting ready to sell. It was awesome. They came and dropped a huge pile of wood chips on our front lawn. We wheeled it to the backyard, and I only paid $40 for it. But I only paid $40 for it. The company, they have to pay to use the Chip Drop service, so I just decided I'm going to cover that cost, and by doing so, that put me at a priority for them to drop wood chip at our home. But you can use the Chip Drop service completely free. That's something I talk more about in that other video with our backyard project, so again, take a look at that one. So here's the finished bed, and on Mother's Day, I got to fill it with some soil and plant some seeds. Oh, but those neighborhood cats, yeah. I do need to lay some cover over this just so that they will stay out while these seeds are getting established and starting to grow. As you see here in the garden area, we have lots of growth happening, and I'm just really excited for what summer has in store for us. So if you are interested in backyard, suburban gardening, or low-cost, resourceful projects, definitely hit subscribe, Leave a comment on this video. I would love to hear what you are working on and what ideas you have for your own space. That's all for now. You will see me in the next video. Until next time, take care.